Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Reza Mubin. Today is Tuesday, 7th of June, 2022. And what I'd like to do today is to take the opportunity to share with all of you how I go about preparing myself for a job interview. Now, as some of you might know, I've been actively applying for and pursuing a new job opportunity since my last employer in March. And today, I'm going to take the chance to show you how I go about in preparing for an interview. So, first things first, once I do get called up for a job interview, the first thing that I do is I go back to the position that I applied for and the job description that's attached to it. So I read over the JD carefully and make sure that everything that is identified and stated in the JD are things which I can do. And this is important because during the interview, the recruiter is likely to ask you specific and detailed questions on these activities and responsibilities to see whether or not you can handle them, how you would go about performing them, and how you would go about delivering these functions. Yeah, so that's an important thing that you need to do to begin with. Next, you definitely need to read up about the organization, and of course, the best source is usually their official company website. So I always make it a point to read up about what the company is about, their vision, mission, core values, nature of business, products, services, organizational structure, feedback from the public, and so on. So as much key information as you can gather, you should try to research them and take note of them. And then from there, to get a better sense and idea of what the organization is about, you should also check out their accounts on social media. Of course, LinkedIn would be a good platform to start with. Then you can go on to Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter and see how they craft content and messages on these different platforms and how they connect with the public. Okay, some employers, for example, they love to post videos. Some prefer copy with photos. Others maybe press releases. So there are different methods that companies can apply when it comes to producing content for social media. Yeah. Once you've done that and have gotten a good sense of what the company is all about, you can then start preparing yourself by anticipating what kind of questions that recruiters are likely to throw at you. And in my case, having gone through a number of interviews and having worked since year 2002, I'm kind of accustomed to the type of questions that employers are likely to ask me. And usually they will start off by asking you to introduce yourself or tell you about tell you about yourself, and so that's where you have to start off by telling them who you are, what your professional background is, what your skills are, where you've worked, certain strong points that will help you stand out from other candidates. After that, employers are likely to ask you why you applied for the particular role. So you should be ready to answer that question and make some good points as well. Then thirdly, they will probably ask you questions regarding their organization to see how much you've read up about them, how much you know about them, and how well you understand them. That will usually be followed by another question related to the organization, which is a bit more deeper, a bit more probing, and a bit more specific. They might ask you for some facts and figures regarding the company's performance last year, what products or events that they've launched this year, what are they known for, who are their competitors and things like that. So this will be done to sort of test your awareness of their business and of their activities to see how much research you've really done. Okay. Then Another question that you can expect by a lot of recruiters and employers these days is they'll ask you why should they hire you for the role, and that's a very important question for you to answer because you will need to convince them and sell to them what makes you stand out from other candidates. Yeah, and for me, I always try to highlight my strengths, skills, and capabilities when it comes to this question, and I give them specific details on what I could do for them, for the job, and in terms of what they are trying to achieve. Yeah. So this is an important question for any candidate out there to address and really try to sell themselves. Okay. Next, if all goes well and they take interest to you, they'll probably ask you when can you start. So you should tell them exactly when you're available to start work. And then they'll ask you what is your expected salary. If you haven't answered that already, this will be the chance for you to explain to them. And then usually they'll wrap up the interview by asking if you have any questions for them. So this I found through my own experience that it's a good idea to ask at least one question because it will show your interest in the job that you've applied for as well as in the organization. And recruiters will interpret it or receive it as you showing enthusiasm and genuine interest in the job. Whereas if you don't ask any questions, then the recruiter or interviewer might think that you are rather passive or that you're a bit disengaged and maybe may not be fully committed to the role. So if you ask me for my opinion on this, I think it's always a good idea to ask at least one question. Yeah, and it can be anything from what is the organizational culture like, who would you be reporting to, or anything along those lines. And of course, before you wrap up the interview, you should always ask them when can they get back to you on the outcome for the interview. And after that, you should try to close the interview by recapping your strengths, skills, and capabilities so that at the top of their head, they'll remember you for what you can do. And that will at least help you stand out from other candidates that are in the market. Yeah. So this is me, Reza Mubin, sharing with you my approach to passing an interview or to sitting for an interview. And I think it is the proper way. And I'm pretty sure that HR experts, talent managers, and recruitment pros would affirm, acknowledge, and endorse my methodology and strategy. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you are there to sell yourself and to also build rapport with the interviewer or interviewers. And you're there to be very honest about yourself, because no company would want to hire a fraud. And on that note, just do the best you can. And if they like you, they'll probably give you a call. If they don't, you can always ask them why they didn't hire you. Yeah. So that's a wrap for me. Thank you for your time and thank you for your attention. Have a good week, everybody. Bye.